assuming that you're watching this video, you probably train, you probably go to the gym, or you do some sort of martial arts, or you just keep active. If you're staying active, you have to know that as you move around, as your muscles contract, and as you exert forces on different things, different parts of your body needs the necessary materials to recover. If I was to go out and run 10 kilometers and I didn't fuel up properly afterwards, or just refuel, my body isn't really going to be feeling that good, because it's going to be lacking the materials to basically remake itself. Because every time we do any sort of exercise, our muscles are breaking down. Even our bones at the microscopic level are breaking down. So we want to ensure that we're giving our body the right materials. So the main material that goes into making you is proteins. So fats and sugars are mainly for energy, and I can go into all the science behind the fats and how they're used for hormones, but that's outside of this video. But proteins, they're not just for muscle growth. Proteins are so important for when it comes to your metabolic processes, when it comes to the keratin on your nails and in your hair, and also for your skin. Typically, if you have a higher protein intake, it can improve your body's ability to recover and heal and to look energized and have that vitality, that youthful look. So you want to improve your protein intake. So you want to have a high protein diet. You don't have to go crazy with this. You don't have to take some weird supplements for this. Like, most of the supplements are bad for you anyways because of all the additives and the processing that they go through. But focus on having a high protein diet. So whatever your weight is in kilograms, double it, and that's the number of grams of protein you should be having. So try and fit in a decent source of protein for every one of your meals. So for example, like for lunch, make sure you have like some sort of meat there. It could be chicken, could be salmon, could be beef, whatever you like. Just make sure you have incorporated enough protein into your diet. And there's different types of proteins, of course. There's high quality proteins and there's low quality proteins. So you can still get protein from plant-based foods, but they're not going to be the high quality proteins that you get from animal-based foods. Animal-based foods are better at providing you with the right nutrients than plant-based sources. Right? There's a lot of reasons for that. It's mainly because plants don't always have all of the essential amino acids that you require. Whereas animal-based proteins, they typically do have all of the essential amino acids. And also animal-based protein and animal-based foods, they have a lot more micronutrients that you can extract as well. It's much easier for you to digest protein from animals than it is to digest proteins from plants. It's a bit harder to break down the cells and things like that. You can still eat carbohydrates, you can still eat fats, but you want to be eating considerably more proteins than you probably were before, and really prioritizing protein in your meals. So if you were making noodles and you were just eating plain noodles, then try and add something sort of protein source. Maybe it could be eggs, maybe it could be beef, just into your diet, into your meal, so then you can then increase your protein intake. You can take protein shakes. However, a lot of people have issues with digesting the proteins in the protein shakes. So if you can't digest it, you can't absorb it. And if you can't absorb it, then you're just gonna excrete it out. And that's not the best use of your money. If you do want a high quality source of protein, you want to look at a protein, like a whey protein or some sort of isolate, which has added enzymes. Now, enzymes help break down food. Now, you have enzymes in your stomach and enzymes basically all across your digestive system to help you break down food. But sometimes the enzymes we have aren't enough. So we can get added enzymes in the foods that we eat. So if we're taking whey or some sort of isolate, casein, whatever the type of protein is, if you are also adding in digestive enzymes, they can help aid your body's existing enzymes to break it down. Meaning you can absorb it more easily, getting those nutrients, and you can also avoid bloating and all this weird side effects that come from eating something that's like these supplements. So I'm not the best cook, but I'll try and put up some pictures of my own meal preps so you get an idea of what my meals look like. They might not be the best pictures because I wasn't really expecting anybody to have a look at them, but I like to eat a lot of like meat and rice. Like rice is my staple food. Sometimes I make burritos at home where it's chicken and rice and a bit of cheese, and it just keeps the macros decent. You know, I'm taking in enough protein. I'm also eating enough carbs. I don't like to cut out carbs completely because personally I just feel too lethargic if I go without carbs for a long time. And because a lot of my training is based around running and gym and martial arts, I need that energy that carbs can provide me. So the second point I want to make is really ditching the junk food. A lot of the food you're eating is really bad for you. Like, I know that's not rocket science. Like, it's so obvious. It's obvious, but people still eat it anyways, even if it's linked to study after study after study of causing cancer, of causing other types of chronic diseases. People still eat it. So why is that? It's because you've been conditioned to basically be addicted to these foods. You're addicted to the sugar in a lot of these junk foods. You're addicted to the salt and like all the combinations of ingredients that they put in there. There are literal food scientists whose full-time job it is to make addicting food, make the food that you eat as addicting as possible. So try and avoid chips, try and avoid chocolates, try and avoid frozen foods. Like, frozen vegetables is different, but frozen like pizzas and frozen like, I don't know, pastries and stuff like that stuff's pretty bad for you because they add preservatives and stuff. And fast food. You want to replace fast food as much as you can with your own homemade food. Not only is that going to save you money, but it's also going to make it so much easier to stay healthy and maintain your health goals. I might do a future video where I actually go into different fast food places and I just talk about the ingredients that they have in each of their food, because I think for McDonald's fries, it's like 6 ingredients, but it should be just potatoes and some oil and some like salt. But there's 6 ingredients, and those ingredients work together to make you really addicted to their food. So maybe that's like a future video idea, who knows? But it would help if you can replace them with something else. If you like sugars, try and replace it with some sort of fruit. Now, I personally like having watermelon, I like blueberries, I like strawberries, I like mangoes. Like, that's like my go-to foods when it comes to replacing these like junk foods in my life. So whenever I feel like snacking on chips, I try my best to like snack on like watermelon or like blueberries or just something else, something that has less calories and that's much healthier for me. So the next point I want to make is you have to learn to meal prep. Now, I always put this off. I was always thinking like meal prepping is such a big waste of time. You know, my mom or my dad cooks food. So like, why meal prep? Like, why should I learn to cook? It just seems like a daunting task. But I will tell you right away, like, I had the same mentality as you. I thought the same thing. But when I actually started to cook my own foods, I could control exactly what was put into them. If I knew that, you know, certain sauces were very high in calories, I'll leave them out. And I'd learn ways to make the food still taste delicious, but without the added calories and harmful preservatives and harmful additives that they normally have in food. And it's a good skill to learn as well, because it can save you time. Like, sure, cooking takes time, but if you meal prep, if you cook multiple meals and you just prepare them for multiple days, you can save a lot of time. And sometimes it also can help with staying consistent with your diet, because if you didn't have these pre-prepared meals, then you're more likely to be like, okay, well, I don't have anything to eat today. Maybe I'll go and have some McDonald's, have some like Burger King or Hungry Jack's, depending on which country you're from. It's much easier to stay on your diet. It's much easier to stay on your diet if you have things meal prepped. So what I like to do is, I'll make like a future video on like the exact details, but every 3-4 days, I would actually just sit down, be like, okay, well, I feel like making fried rice out of everything, but it's like high protein fried rice. So I add like extra chicken, extra eggs, and I don't use that much oil. I try and keep it as healthy as possible. Or I do some high protein steak and rice, or high protein lamb and rice, or just something like that. Or even like the high protein burritos that I made like earlier today. So, yeah, so just learned to cook them and prepare them. So I just set so what I normally do is I cook 3 days worth of food, and I have it like, this is lunch, this is dinner, this is lunch, this is dinner, this is lunch, this is dinner. Usually I skip breakfast, but if I had to eat breakfast, it would just be 4 eggs, and I just normally just cook them like on the spot in the morning if I had time. And what you'll find is your energy levels will be so much better as well, because food that's made by you is so much healthier than restaurant food. Like restaurant food, they add all kinds of things, and personally, I don't really trust restaurant food that much. One of my sister's friends actually works as like a health inspector, and she's been to a lot of restaurants around where we live in Sydney, and almost all of them would fail the health hygiene practice things. So that particular role, it's not like a fully fledged health inspector. It's more like they go around and they do some checks, and then they can report somebody if something happens. Yeah, so I just don't like the way that some people prepare their food. Like, I don't know, like some people, they don't wash their hands, some people they don't cook food all the way through, and it can be a good way to avoid getting sick. And sometimes, like if I do want to make food, let's say after the 3 days that all my prepared food is finished, I treat myself. I might get a nice steak, I might get some butter, some garlic, and just maybe make some like mushroom sauce. And I make a decent meal for myself. And typically with meals like that, you don't actually get that hungry, so you stay full for longer. And the last point I want to make in this video is you should try and get rid of vegetable oils. I did a whole video on vegetable oils and why they're bad for you. Maybe I'll put it up here somewhere. But vegetable oils, they weren't initially designed to be eaten. Olive oil, different. Coconut oil, different. But palm oil, canola oil, most seed oils are just really, really bad for you. Chemically, they're just more reactive. And once they go and become part of your body, they also react more easily than fats and oils from animal sources. Because fats and oils from animal sources is not that reactive. Ideally, you should also try and skip on the vegetable oils. Vegetable oils were not initially designed to be edible. And even though they say vegetable oil, like they're not made from vegetables, they're made from seeds. Canola, rapeseed oil, there's a few other ones. Sunflower oil, they're made from seeds. They're not actually made from vegetables, and they're not as healthy as they make it seem. There's a whole video that I did about this whole topic, but just know that you want to replace it as soon as you can with healthier forms of oil. Like cold pressed olive oil is maybe one of the less processed versions. If you have the money and if you are really health conscious, you should be cooking with butter, because butter has animal fat, and animal fat, contrary to what most people actually believe, is actually good for you. The reason being is that the chemical bonds in the animal fat, the fats in animal fat, are more stable than the chemical bonds in vegetable oils. So when these oils become part of you, they're more reactive if it's vegetable oils. Whereas if you make them out of animal fats, they're less reactive. The scientists have done multiple studies when they tested rats who ate vegetable oils versus rats who just ate animal-based oils, and they found that the rats who ate vegetable oils actually lived shorter lives than the rats that ate animal fats.